Well, it'd work better if I added myself to the stream, wouldn't it? Okay, let's just start off. I'm Dan Hollifield. Welcome to Last Man Standing. I am totally alone at the moment, which is probably because I yacked my head off in stupid o'clock, and people are going, "Oh, we're not going to listen to that bullshit any further." Had a somebody watching the show before the beginning finished, but now they're gone. Well, it doesn't really matter. I'll monologue on for a little while and pretty much just keep going here until I run out of things to say, which won't last long. Maybe this will be one of the shows where the actual show is shorter than the intro and the outro. Mm, a lot of people might thank me for that, and others would go, "Damn, I missed it." I did send out links to Kiri and Rich, and Bill knows the link, and who else? Some Mike, Jimmy. But these, it's just one of the folks are unavoidably detained, which is not involving handcuffs or anything, and especially not in one of the fun ways. But usually there's folks backstage here ready to come in, and they're not right now. But doesn't matter. I can deal. The background photograph you see on my green screen is actually my living room and dining room. What you cannot see because I'm in the way is the kitchen table that I built. And let's see, um, built all the shelves, built the entertainment center, um, put the uh, put the bar together from an old waterbed headboard that I got from a rubbish tip, salvaged and given new life as the repository of, well, at one time, the accoutrements of a bar. And now it is covered in photographs and miniatures and stuff like that that my wife and I have collected over the years. You cannot see the details because the picture is too small, but if you look way up above my, well, stage left, my right ear, um, over here, you will see a clock with a red frame. That clock actually runs backwards. It's a counter clock because it runs counterclockwise. What I was going to do was have a mirror on the opposite wall. Basically, it would be in, I would be facing it now if I was actually in the room and in this position with a clock that ran forwards, set to the same time. So you'd be going, wait a minute, that wall's a mirror. No, no, that wall's not a mirror. Um, just one of those things. Um, kind of fun. Uh, got the idea basically from a Spider Robinson series of stories from Callahan's Cross Time Saloon and the sequels to that book. There was a clockwise running clock in one of the stories, and seemed like a great thing to do. And then I found this on a catalog and went and bought one. Keeps perfect time. It just runs backwards. What a concept. And over, let's see, about there, TV set, stereo speakers and whatnot. Couple of the speakers I put oil paintings on. At the moment, they are hidden by different. My wife has selected and put in front of the speakers that I have paintings on. Um, Not a problem. I have been looking at those paintings for a good 30 years, 35 years. I know exactly what they are. And she does move the artwork around the house from time to time. It's like living in a very high class museum. The exhibits get rotated, so no big deal. If I were to go in there right now and take another photograph, might be able to see my paintings, might be able to see something totally different that she has selected to stand in those places. Um, There, the little orange lampshade there. That's an Edison Mazda lamp that I rebuilt several decades ago, and now it runs um, pretty much 24/7. Um, it's basically our nightlight, and it's LED bulbs now. It used to be fluorescent bulb, stayed on all the time. We do turn it out now because we don't close the bedroom door because it's just us, my wife and I in the house. Not much reason to have doors closed because nobody else is here. We did close the door when we had some of the kids with us um, at different times. Never really liked having doors closed. Don't know if that's something psychological or if it's just I was used to uninterrupted motion between one room to another. Uh, doesn't strike me as being particularly important, actually. Now down there is what used to be a liquor cabinet from a local bar. A lady that I lived next door to when I was in an apartment happened to be one of the bartenders there, and they were redecorating and pulled that cabinet off the wall. And she took it home, and she was going to have it as part of her apartment furnishings, and then found out it took up more room than she was prepared to deal with, and offered it to me, and I took it. At one time, it was a speaker cabinet for one of my guitars, hooked up to a different amplifier, and it was for real speaker cabinet about 6 feet tall and 2 feet wide, had all kinds of speakers in it, and was driven by a I believe it was a 5 watt guitar amplifier. Sounded really good, but after a while, I no longer had an interest in continuing to play guitar or practice regularly. So I took the speaker cabinet apart and made it into shelves again. Now you can't see it from this side. The other side, facing the 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 couch there, the love seat, basically, it's just open shelves, and there are books and all kinds of stuff in there. Hey, Kiri. Hey, Rich. I did send y'all the link, both of y'all, Kiri and Rich. Donna, I could send you a link too if you want. Or I could just sit here and monologue for hours. Um, it doesn't really matter. Uh, Everything is Everything is beautiful. No, I'll get a copyright strike on that one. Um, Ray Stevens is too famous for me to quote very often or for a good length of time. Let's see. No, over here, over here. Everything's reversed on the camera. There is a shelf of CDs, movies, TV shows. The blue ones on the top shelf, those are all Doctor Who. And those were mostly recorded off of PBS back in the day and then transferred to uh, DVD once that became a thing you could do with a home computer. Those were recorded on VHS and transferred to a DVD. So the picture quality is not the finest in the world. Nowadays, if I want to watch Doctor Who, I've got several hard drives here that have uh, backup copies of really good recordings of everything from the very first episode in 1963 to the very latest episode. Um, was it Thanksgiving last year, or was it, did Jody have a couple of episodes this spring? I'm not sure. I don't remember right offhand. These things, they times change, uh, technology changes, and sometimes you find yourself with a museum of antique devices and antique media. And that's not always a bad thing, except nowadays I've got shelves full of VHS tapes and no functioning VHS tape players. This is annoying. I'm trying to send Donna a link, and oh, okay. Uh, that might have worked when I wasn't looking. All right, there. Ha! And Rich, Kiri, I sent you a link earlier. All you got to do is scroll up in Messenger, and you will find it. Or I could send it again if you want. Um, oh, link keeps. Okay, hang on. I will correct that right now. Uh, should be the correct one, and we will try again. Hopefully, I clicked on the right damn thing, but we shall see. Uh, oh, I'm sorry, Kiri. I sent you a link, and you don't have time. You've got to get some sleep. And here's the lovely Miss Donna.
Hello there. The storm came back.
Well, I hope I sent Rich the. Yes, I did send Rich the right link this time. So here we go. And it's not green room light. It's just it. It is after midnight on a Saturday. So and I'm not trying to get monetized, so it doesn't matter. Um, behold my field, it is barren. Um,
Do you need help?
Quite often. Oh, sorry,
oh,
talking to the cat.
oh, honey, you have no idea.
You know I'd help you anytime, babe.
Yeah, but I'd like to stay married to my present wife. Ah. Well, that was a tour around my living room for those of you who may be watching this on the replay. Carl, um, now you got to aim to misbehave so he has something to watch and go. I can't believe she said that.
He's gotten quite past that stage.
Well, that's good. The
Now it's
training is
more.
the
Now it's more like I can't believe she waited that long to say that.
the training is taking hold. It took long enough.
Yeah, Misty, a lot of times she'll be like, "Did you just say that?" I'm like, "We've been married 18 years. You haven't figured this out yet? That I I don't care. You know."
What was it I said to Ted last night in the green room? Did I stutter?
Hmm.
Oh, the previous line that was a reply to was not one of my best efforts, but um, it was live. It was improv, and
That happens.
hey, if I wanted to sound like I was smart, I'd hire a scriptwriter. Okay, still, it was fun, and I did go back and watch the drinking with the Davies episode that I missed because being out with my family for my mom's birthday celebration. And you're absolutely right. It did cut off right at the tail end of the show, and it
Yeah.
it continued on with the bamboo curtain and nothing else. It's like cut Christine off in mid word, which shouldn't do.
He he came back on Facebook and let her finish, but I haven't seen any on YouTube.
No, you'd have to have the complete recording of the show, delete the recording that was on YouTube,
Yeah.
and upload the replacement,
But
and that
yeah.
would be a pain in the butt. I know I've had several times when I have dozed off in the middle of a show, and people kept going, and then they got tired of being there with the view of my bald spot, and decided to leave. And I wake up 6 o'clock in the morning, and show's still running. So I deleted those. There weren't many of them. There were others, believe me, more common where Joe Dog gets texted in the middle of the night and comes in and ends the show for me. And I've always promised myself I would go back and edit out the part after I went to sleep, but somehow I never do. I don't care. I really don't care. Uh,
Yeah.
you get what you pay for.
Well, you can always like just slide that little sucker along until they see your eyes again.
Well, the thing is, they're so entertaining when they're trying to wake me up, even though we know that is a futile
Nigh
effort.
impossible.
Uh,
I failed now. I failed it.
Lack of success is not failure. Giving up is failure.
Oh,
well,
I will never pass up a chance to go. Oh, Dan, Dan.
and usually that's all it takes. The voice of a sexy woman in my ears usually will wake me up, but times when
And
either
you had two of them.
yeah, really. Uh, and you know how seldom that happens in real life. Uh, at least to me. Yeah.
Ooh,
Well,
nice torch hammer.
Yep.
yes.
Made by me.
Pretty.
Turning into quite the craftsman there, Rich.
I
My torch hammers doesn't look like the usual one like that one. I am going to just switch some cats.
Fly swatters. All you have to do is hold one. They run away.
Pool noodle.
Pool noodle, that will work too. Got a longer reach as well.
Mm-hmm.
Bonk. Don't have to do that many times.
You don't
yesterday
even have
while
to
I was
touch them
working,
with it.
apparently I didn't close my office door fully enough. My cat Barry physically threw himself at the door in order to open it up because he's like, Dad, I need attention.
We have a couple
Mm-hmm.
of cats like that. And Susie, if she sees a closed door, she's going to hit that like a linebacker
My
from the
office
Oakland Raiders.
my office door
And,
is the only door he did that to. But it's because I'm his emotional support human and he's my emotional support cat. Just today, finally, he was not hiding under the coffee table that has a bunch of boxes around it because we're still unpacking and stuff. He
hmm
was actually on top of the table instead of underneath. So, and he's been here a week.
New house syndrome, I take it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. They do adjust.
Yeah, the only way we could get him out the first few days was to pour food in his dish.
Mm.
And we're like, you're fat enough already, buddy. We're still doing the two small portions because if we give him one large portion, it's a scarf and barf.
hmm Yep. Uh,
Yeah, my Siamese Rip was like that.
yeah.
In fact,
I
last
had
night
to
in the
bring
green room, I
him.
had to clean up a hairball.
I was
Shortly after we
surprised.
got in,
Neither one of these two, when they got in the house, hid. She kind of stayed back, but she never really hid. And there's a lot of places in this house to hide,
Mm.
especially for a black cat. But even from the moment he came inside, Calvin was either with Daddy or with me.
Underfoot either way.
Barry's grandmama was a barn cat. It was my mother-in-law's barn cat. So she gave us that and what we thought was a female kitten. No, it was a male.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the baby kitten adjusted fine. Mama cat, as soon as we brought her in the house, she was clutching on the door molding and the window molding and stuff like that. So I tried to assist. Yeah, no.
Mm-mm.
That cat had to have an extra vertebrae in its neck because I grabbed it where normally on a cat it cannot reach around and get you. She got me.
Mm-hmm.
She's lucky she got me and not Misty or the kids. Because
Mm.
otherwise, I might not have opened the door when I threw the cat outside. But we let her in. We got her down. She's hid behind the stove for a few days. Then she moved behind the dryer. She wasn't adjusting. She was barely coming out to eat. So I tried to get her out. This time I was smart. I wore leather gloves. Instead of actually getting puncture wounds this time around, I got blood blisters, which I could cope with. Um, Tried to call the animal shelter, and come to find out, my animal shelter is open 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Mm-hmm.
This is when I was going downtown to Chicago every single day.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, you know what? We'll put some food outside for her. You know, she comes around, eats it. It's fine. If she just fucks off, who cares? You know, we'll put stuff out there. She ended up having another litter. That is where Barry's papa came from, priest. beautiful black cat. He had 2 spots of white on him. One right here that looked like a little priest collar, which is why I named him Priest, and the other my wife likes to call his diaper. Right down in that area.
In a diaper position, yes.
Exactly. And Priest was a very skittish cat. He was born outside. He was born feral. We brought him in. The only person that could ever pick him up was me. It took months of sitting on the opposite end of the couch before he stopped bolting off the couch.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually I could sit right next to him on the couch and he'd be fine and he'd let me give him scritchies and stuff like that. If I laid down, gone, like a shot.
Hey, my Jimmy.
Hey.
Hi, Jane.
Yeah, I can relate with the gender problem. When we bought Callan, we thought he was more calico back then. Since then, these white spots have gotten bigger. But calicos are like 99.9% female.
Mm-hmm.
So we named her Callie and took her to the vet. And the first checkup, he's like, yeah, she's fine. This is when you can bring her back, for her booster, and then we'll talk about getting her spayed. Well, about 2 days before he was due to go back, he's laying on his back, and I look down and I go, "Oh, something dropped, didn't they, son?" and those weren't there the last time you laid on your back. And then Mr. Winky popped up, and I'm like, yeah. So, like, a day or two later, he goes in for his booster, and I told the vet, I said, you need to check him. It's a boy. And the vet's like, are you sure? Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And he reaches under, and, oh, yeah, we got a boy.
Yep, the equipment
Mazel
is
tov.
the equipment is similar in most mammals.
Well, I don't feel so bad because professionals screw up. My very first Siamese cat, I had papers from the National Siamese Society that proved I could, if I wanted to, I could show him. He gave birth to 2 kittens about 6 months after we got her.
Yeah, that definitely takes some either talent or surgery.
It's the Jurassic Park problem.
A case of misshapen identity. Yes, Rich, I did it again. I'm always saying things that you go, oh fuck, I wish I'd thought of that.
Yes.
Oh, Mike, you don't have to put a shirt on for us. At least not for me. Sheesh.
Hey, Joe Dog makes me put a shirt on. And my wife is grateful that I don't do these shows bare-chested, but...
Is it bad that as little time as I've had a chance to get to know you folks, I've been waiting for Donna to say that? I knew she was going to say it.
Sooner or later.
Oh, wait till you meet her in person. It's an education.
I'm figuring it will be.
I'm
Mike,
throwing put his shirt on. I mean, hi, Mike.
Now, I heard YouTube has something against that too, so.
No. Don't have any of my own, but I don't really have anything against somebody else having them.
No, I said YouTube, not you.
Oh, YouTube. Oh.
Honestly, I don't think they do, but. I don't know. It's a bit of etiquette. I literally just rolled out of bed, so good morning, lovelies.
Good morning. I pointed out that a lot of the British canal boats are built in your neck of the woods, and it was suggested that I go ahead and order one to be built, and you could UPS it to me.
So how big is this package? Well,
Just make sure it's not
Um,
DHL.
oh no,
it's
Ooh.
no.
7.5 feet wide and 45 feet long, and
Oh,
uh, don't think that any reputable mailing company is going to touch that one.
I'm just gonna, wrap it in Gemini mailers.
One
It's
piece at a
coming, I
time.
swear.
Hey,
So,
yep. There was a song about that.
no reputable, but the United States Post Office doesn't work in Europe. Oh, I'm sorry. Who said that?
It doesn't work very well here anymore. Used to
And
be great, but
and me with a nephew on the force, so to speak.
Yeah, I know. USPS is the reason that I hold my chest whenever Clerical Blast sends anything out, or I send anything to RJ over the Critical Blast, or I send anything over to the United States. Because
hmm
the moment Post NL lets go of it, I'm terrified.
as
But
well you should be.
Yeah.
you still have a bigger success rate than the Philippines Postal Service.
Well, if we could get our politicians to leave the damn thing alone,
Yeah.
it could do a much better job than with them interfering.
Yeah.
They keep trying to use it as an income source for politicians.
You'll have an easier time getting a 3-year-old boy who just discovered his equipment to leave it alone than politicians in the postal system.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
Or politicians in Social Security, or politicians in any pile of money that's sitting around looking unattended.
Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, if you do not want to be seen in public, become a postal worker.
Mm.
They are invisible. And I can prove it. We have a Ring doorbell. We
Mm-hmm.
have it set to only 5 foot because we don't want everything passing by. Oh, wait a minute, that car went by 15 foot away and set it off. Cat runs by, set it by. A butterfly the other day, and the ring goes, "Hey, you've got somebody out front." Postman, no, and
No.
he has to reach across in front of the doorbell in order to get to the mailbox.
They have that cloak of invisibility.
This camera that we had up at the old house, if a car was going by faster than 25 miles an hour, would trigger. Otherwise, they had to be close up to trigger.
Hmm.
Another way for people to become invisible: a high vis vest, a hard hat, and a clipboard.
Mm.
Clipboard is
Mhm.
essential. Yes,
Oh yeah,
yes.
we use those with the when we munsey sometimes.
You
'Cause-
can wander around
yeah,
just about anywhere you're not supposed to be. And if you're carrying a clipboard, and
people don't want to be around you.
it
Mhm.
may be one of those situations where you got to have the hard hat and the vest. But most of the time, the clipboard is the essential piece of equipment.
I
And
can't remember his name. He goes by a hacker name. He doesn't give out his real name because, well, IT security. It's what he does.
Hmm.
So one of his jobs is he'll get a job, or he'll get an order from his company to go do penetration testing. So not just data,
Yeah.
but actual physical testing. The sets of keys that he has for elevators for different parts of the country because the elevator keys in New York do not work in Vermont, do not work in, So he's got just a key of all these things. He got an RF chip installed in the webbing of his thumb and forefinger that he'll program. So there's these devices called pineapples, which basically are small enough that you can fit in a laptop bag. And all you have to do is walk within 5 feet of a person that has a key card.
Yeah.
And it will copy that information. And then what he can do is he can load that into that RF chip in his hand and just go like that to the sensor and let him in. And
These are the droids you're looking for.
People ignore him because he's in a vest and stuff like that. So he and one of his teammates were on site to do a test. And they're in the elevator, and they got in, through an upstairs way, across the building, stuff like that, and got in. And, the other guy forgot a piece of equipment, so he had to go back to the hotel. So he stayed in that elevator with it turned off. Security calls in, like, hey, is everything going all right in there? He had to play it off like he was an actual, elevator repairman and stuff like that. And he played it off so well that they just ignored him.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Another interesting thing I learned from this man. A balloon or even aerosol duster for PCs and stuff like that, or even a glass of scotch can go ahead and defeat certain motion detectors. He took a big gulp of his scotch, walked across the street to a bank. There's like that much of a gap between the two doors because he recognized what the sensor was, and just put his lips up there and just spit the scotch out, and it created enough of a form that it saw motion and unlocked so that it can be opened.
Wow.
Because a lot of these are set so that if motion's coming from a certain way, it'll automatically unlock. Fun fact, my firm has the same sensors coming out of our elevator lobby. So it's fun. I haven't tested the scotch thing yet. One of these days I'm going to bring in a balloon, so I can just slip it through, blow it up, let go of it, and it'll fly past the motion detector and probably let me in.
Wow.
When we do Muncie, now Carl will wear he's got one of those reflective vests. I just get a clipboard out. This is a Muncie. And I have mine printed on special little things that warn you about electric shock, and I put them on electric boxes. And then when I need to, like, sometimes they get a special on them, I'll go up and I'll have a clipboard and I'll put that sticker up, deploy it, and then I'll like make a mark on my clipboard. And people don't pay attention. But Mike Jimmy, if you're ever interested, see if that couldn't. I don't know if you see all those. Those are Muncies in Amsterdam. That city is pretty well covered.
I have no idea what Muncies are.
And a lot of them are what you call virtual, so you don't even need the code like I just showed you. You just have to be within 300 feet to catch them.
Like geocache thing.
So it's QR code Pokemon.
Yeah. The gentleman who created it used to be a geocacher.
Yeah, I had a convention last night. Yesterday. I got home so late. Oh my god. I didn't run too well because it was a new location and it was a pretty small market. So I sold my travel expenses and that's it. But 2.5 hours there, 2.5 hours back. But they gave us lunch and dinner, which was incredible.
That's nice.
For a free convention. So I'm still very much impressed by that. But yeah, I got home at 11. I left home at 6 in the morning. I'm tired. And this little missing.
You're still young.
So, well, trust me.
Oh, what a sweet baby.
Yeah, well, she's been trying to keep me up all night, all week.
As they
I
do.
finally settled down.
Yeah, she just wants to cuddle. But yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
Supper didn't agree with me. Oh, sorry.
Sure.
Oh,
It's the funniest thing because when we first moved to this house, we had 3 Siamese inside, and we had 4 cats that lived on our porch on the other one. And Carl says, I'm not leaving them. So, okay, they all became inside cats. They never once tried to get out.
no.
In fact, once the 2 sisters were fighting because one sister hated the other, and they accidentally pushed out a window screen. The one stayed where she was until we could get her, and the other went around to the back door and was scratching at the back door to get inside. And they had been outside all their lives up until then. And even now, Charcoals looks out the window like, yeah, forget that.
Yeah, no, a lot of outside cats actually really love being inside cats. Like it's a very easy switch for them. They're like, well, do I get food here? Cool. I can laze around without getting wet. Holy crap.
Yeah. Well, we got hard food out there, well, except for when it rained, but now I'm getting salmon feast, and
Mm-hmm.
Daddy shares his tuna and his SpaghettiOs and his shredded cheese and what was it? Oh, smoked sausage with cheddar cheese in it. That's what we had for supper tonight. Yeah, my cats eat strange things.
Whenever I'm sick and I'm not feeling well and I lay down, Barry, just like his father, would always come up and nuzzle me to make sure that I'm all right. In fact, Misty was letting the dogs out, and Barry just wouldn't leave me alone. I'm like, dude, come on. If you're going to cuddle, come up here, you know. But he's a good idiot. Bucky, one of our min pins. So we've got them from a shelter 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago. And Bucky is a master of escape from his collar. So I'm out walking them, trying to get myself some more exercise and trying to get them more exercise because Bella, at that point in time, our other min pin, his sister, was a good weight. She's now a little porker. But Bucky was morbidly obese for a min pin. So I was trying to get him more exercise. I was trying to get myself more exercise. And coming back, so we walked about a quarter mile away and then turned around to come back. He popped his collar. And I was trying to get back to him to put the collar back on it. And he just kept walking. And he returned the same trip to the house and then walked past the wife's car, walked to the back door, which is the door we let him out of, walked up and just sat there on the top step like, all right. So I'm
home.
I'm home.
Ready to come in now.
Yeah.
He's really good about that. Whenever he slips his collar, he won't let you put it back on him, but he's good at, knowing how to get back to where the food is.
He's supposed to be, yeah.
He's a little porker.
I found a warning label.
Rocks.
I found a warning label that applies to me.
Oh boy. That counts for all of us, and you know it.
Yes, it does.
Oh, I was actually looking for something else, and that one popped up, and I go, Yeah, I resemble that remark. Uh,
I don't
Well,
like this photo. It has me in it. I feel targeted.
yeah.
really.
Well, Carl even has to share the goodie out of the center of his Pop Tart with Calvin, or the little pies that I buy him.
Oh, what was it?
It's-
Oh Lord, some of these are priceless. Here's one. I'm not going to show it, but here's one that says, "Danger, not to be operated by fuckwits."
we
And
did
here
you
we
see?
are.
Yeah, did you see the post about the sticker Carl got for me?
No.
It's yeah. It says I'm silently correcting your grammar, and I'm looking at it and I'm going silently. I don't think so. I
Oh,
have
there's a
this.
there's
I have
another
this
one.
habit. Go
Oh.
ahead.
There's another one. Warning: this vehicle makes frequent stops at your mom's house.
Ooh,
Wow.
you have to
Some
remember that for green room.
you know, somebody's found the one that UPS guys ought to wear on their shirt.
A man's wife is his life, Mr. UPS man.
I
So,
used to have a UPS driver that when we first got our ring, he comes up and he rings the doorbell, and so I'm like, I want to try this out. So I go, hello there, thank you. And he looks back and there's no one around. I said, sorry, I'm just trying out my new doorbell. He goes, oh, where are you? And I'm on the second floor. And he says, so cool. So every time after that, he'd ring the doorbell and wait till I said hello, and he'd say hello back, and then he'd leave.
That's adorable.
It was. He was good looking too. And then one day, Carl was home when he delivered, and Carl, hello. I didn't see him after that. Somebody else sent him out. Like, here.
so speaking of
Oh,
stickers, many years ago, uh, I'm guessing he got it from a Hot Topic or a Spencer's or something like that. My best friend got a bumper sticker and put it on my car, and it was at gaming, so everyone else, because I had to use the restroom, so it was late coming out to the vehicle. Everyone was standing at the back of my vehicle, but we all stand around and talk for a little bit before we get in our cars and go. So I didn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks go by. Me and another friend go to the movie, and then we go to Steak and Shake afterwards. And where I parked, where we sat in the restaurant, we can actually see the back of my car. And all of a sudden, I'm like, the hell is on the back of my car? It was a bumper sticker that said, porn, it's cheaper than dating. I left it on the car.
in
But yeah,
in
it's,
some instances, it's actually safer.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh Lord.
I have this problem of saying right out what I'm thinking. My nephew texted me earlier with a picture and asking if this was my other brother, not his father, but and I'm like, yeah. And my nephew himself was in the picture, and he says, well, don't I look like my son? And that was about the same age then as he is now. And I said, yeah, he does. And my nephew goes, at least he's not cross-eyed, because my nephew's had a lazy eye as a child. They tried to make him wear an eye patch, and what can I say? He's a baker, so stubborn as bull, and he refused to wear it. And his mom wouldn't make him wear it. So now he's practically blind in one eye and across, So being typical Aunt Donna, I said, well, if you'd worn your eye patch, and then I went, yeah, I went there. And I got the SMH back, and I said, nope, now you know why people hate me.
That's not wrong.
Oh, Lord. Sometimes people just do not know how to take us or leave us, as the case may be. And believe me, the last one covers a whole lot more territory than the first one. Must be 50 ways? Nah.
Add a few thousand.
Thank God in Greyhound she's gone, as the man said.
Yeah.
Hit the road, Jack.
I remember that one too, yes.
Yep.
So many moons ago, a handbook came out called the Happy Mutant Handbook. Basically for reality hacking. So they had stickers that they had approved for people to go ahead and scan and then print on, contact paper and stuff like that, so they can put them everywhere. User surly instead of user friendly. Sucks less.
I like that one.
Warning: only consumable for code level magenta humans. Remove label before placing product. And just all sorts of weird stuff like that. Another thing that was fun to do with them that I learned through that handbook was they had a thing where you take a stack of paper plates and a Sharpie and a staple gun or tape, however you want to attach them, and then you make smiley faces on the paper plates and you just put them in random places throughout the city. And then people just start seeing them and tearing them down, and then you just go at night and you put them back just to screw with people. So in the factory, when I was still in the factory, one thing that I would do to screw with people is I printed out a bunch of, I think I had like 1,000 some of these, and I cut them out by hand with scissors and stuff. Just these little stickers that were just smiley face emojis. And then I would just put them in weird places inside of a press, inside of material barrels and stuff like that, and people were just like, what the hell? Had some of them in the freezer. And again, when people tore them down, I would put them back.
I had a printout of a whole page of, I think they were about 3-inch by 3-inch. And they were all physics jokes. But they were made up as warning labels. One of them was something like, warning, the contents of this package is made up of atoms, just like every damn thing else in the universe. Do not move at the speed of light squared, otherwise sudden bursts of energy may occur. And it went on from there. I mean, seriously, these were hilarious. And for about a month, I had a stack that I printed out and put double stick tape on the back of them, cut them out by hand, like Rich was saying. Then I just stick them on random packages as we were mailing them out. Finally, my supervisor said, "You got to stop doing that. I'm going to get in trouble." He didn't ever catch me putting one on there. He just looked at him and go, "I know who did this."
There's only one here.
Yeah.
There's only one person that would find this funny.
And that brings to mind a joke we all know the history of computers, the different types of computers, right?
Hmm.
Mm?
Okay. Did you know that Eve was the first computer user? She had an apple in one hand and a wang in the other. Oh, Richard's reaction is the one I love the most.
Like I said, wait till you meet her in person. She's being subtle tonight.
Here's the thing. So I'm
I think my ratings just went up. I might get monetized.
I come from a long line of Vikings, Germanic barbarians, and Celts. If we do not understand it, it is of the devil. Burn it.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up with DOS. I was so pissed off when Microsoft went ahead and took a perfectly good computer and turned it into a Macintosh. I refer to the Macintosh as the Satan box. It's part of the original sin. And Misty and I have an agreement. If any of my creative endeavors pay off enough for me to be able to buy a Mac to try that side with my creative endeavors, single check has to be able to pay for the entire Macintosh. That's the caveat.
Gonna have to be a big check.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then I will go ahead and I will bring it to Jesus. But I'm like, hey,
And you notice how I'm not arguing with you because I know the emblem for Max is an apple with a bite taken out of it.
No reason.
Yes. We did have lessons on original sin, and
so I'm part of the tech team for my church.
oh,
They use.
You know what technology is?
They use Macintosh for. It's a big presentation. There's a band on stage. They use messages from other churches around the nation and stuff like that they put up and stuff like that. Technology is actually a very big part of my church. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, damn, the Satan box. I did not realize that the associate pastor was standing right behind me. And then I had to explain my thing about Macintosh and stuff like that. And he's like, you know what? I feel the exact same way. I'm a Windows guy at work myself. So it was just hilarious that I'm like, I'm in the middle of a church and I just called the computer the Satan box. This is not going to go well. But
bless me, Father, for I have shut off my mouth at the wrong damn time.
Yeah.
Well, around technology, it's what I do for a living. I slip back into being me instead of more palpable for Sunday morning me. Me without the language. And innuendo. Oh, okay. I try to go without the innuendo. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Innuendo out the back door.
That's what she said. You knew it had to come up. That's what she said. Damn. I'm sick.
Rich, do you know how to tell an experienced Excel user from a novice?
Oh boy.
Most of their files end in XLXM rather than XLXS. They have discovered the awesome magnificence of macros, and oh Lord, I've got some spreadsheets that's got like multiple tests on one page. And then I wrote a macro to go, I only want to use this one off this page of 3, so hide the other 2,
Mm-hmm.
print, and
I have about half a dozen hidden tabs in mine, usually with different pieces of information to pull from and different pivot tables and all that hilarity. Um, so I work for a law firm. We have to scrub our documents for metadata.
Yeah.
Is everyone familiar with the concept of metadata?
Yes.
Okay. So just to make sure that, client A doesn't see client B's stuff if we reuse a contract, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
If they are still working with the document in Excel 2003 or prior, they cannot scrub their document because it will remove all of their macros, because macros are saved as metadata in Excel 2003 and prior. So any of the binary, the three letter extensions are all horrific.
Yeah.
But they're binary. So anything in binary, oh god, the metadata is just insane. So I talk about metadata a lot. One of the things that I like to point out is there's a serial killer who was caught because of his metadata. BTK was active in the 70s. He laid low
I knew
for a while.
exactly which one you were talking about.
The funny thing is, I learned about this Saturday morning on just, I was bored. I was flipping through channels and came to, I don't know if it was a Forensic Files or New Detectives or an FBI Files. One of those types of shows.
I think it was Forensic Files. That was just on.
That's what actually got me hooked on those type of shows. Nowadays, Misty gets a little nervous because we used to have it just set on HLN and just broadcast that all the freaking time. And she looks at me and she's like, are you planning something? I'm like, technically it is research, but not the way you think. I'm not planning to actually commit a crime. I don't think I'm that smart to get away with it. What I am trying to figure out is, okay, in 1983, did the technology exist to figure out through a DNA test that the werewolf is Mr. Johnson? I use it for my writing because I write modern fantasy, I write crime, I write horror, and I write fantasy.
Yep. One of the things that's going to really screw up all of us writers is if our entire search history is not deleted upon our death. There's going to be a whole lot of mistaken impressions. Or if we ever get accused of doing something wrong, you were looking up exactly how much uranium you needed for that, and I'm going, hey, my dad used to work at Oak Ridge. I was just, going through family mementos. We got a whole barn full of the shit. Okay. I want to figure out how to store it safely. He did bring stuff home from work. And then, seriously, when my dad passed away, there was a 1 cubic foot box of thermite sitting on the front porch that we had to get rid of safely. And I'm going, that's not one of the things that you want to find on a farm, but it could come in handy if you needed to cut the tree down real quick.
Take those roots out.
Yeah, for about half a city block, as long as you
exactly
got
where my mind went.
But this is why I do not Google my stuff. I go to the library. I do not check the books out. The books I have in my library, I paid cash for. There is no paper trail. There is no electronic trail. Just in case I decide to do something in real life.
that was one reason I really liked the University of Georgia library back when I was a student in the 70s. Uh, Computers were really primitive back then, but I knew even then nobody can check and see what you looked up in a card catalog
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
without dusting an entire room for your fingerprints.
Oh, man, your mind and mine think so much alike. It's scary. I'm like, unless they dust for prints, and then you mentioned, I'm like, oh wow, we are in sync.
Yep.
And
Uh,
this is why I carry nitrile gloves with me.
I just don't want to ruin these valuable antique index cards.
Exactly. I don't want to, I don't want these books to get hurt.
Although
Um,
I was one of the few people in the entire university that knew from going through the card catalog that all the science fiction books were on the third floor, but they had a complete set of the works of the Marquis de Sade on the fifth floor. And they're black leather bound with gold embossing
Ooh.
because I went and looked at them. I didn't check any out, but I went and looked at them. Big old shelf. And I'm going, how can a dude that's in the Bastille write that much?
Had nothing else to do.
Mm.
when I was 19, between 19 and 23, I had no fingerprints. I worked in a meat room, cleaning the meat room, and um, I know exactly how cats feel when you put stuff on their feet. When I'm wearing gloves, I can't feel the equipment. I can't do my job, or well, at that point in time, couldn't do my job. So, meat room, water, fingers chapped. I literally lost all of my fingerprints, and my hands were so chapped for the next 3 years it wasn't even funny. So I could have committed crimes if I really, really wanted to, but again, I didn't think I was smart enough and cool enough to get away with it. I get nervous jaywalking.
You'd still leave epithelials.
Yes.
Yeah, but DNA testing hadn't been invented at that time.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You'd have to have
DNA was in
somebody
its
that
infancy.
you'd have to have somebody that was had enough foresight to go, well, the test doesn't exist now, but I'll just put this in this envelope and save it for later.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what
some
I
break.
like. That's what I like about nitrile gloves. They're thinner than latex. You can actually feel through them.
I've got a box of those, and they are much more difficult to put on without ripping than the latex.
That's true.
I mean, and I've okay. I've had 45 years of OSHA training. I know how to put on gloves, how to take off gloves without contaminating my skin.
Hmm.
I know more than I've ever wished to know about bloodborne pathogens and how to clean up same from an environment. Um, I know more than I probably should be allowed to know about what cleans best. And really, I'm going. You know, there are hundreds of undetected serial killers around the world, hundreds, if not thousands.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering, how much OSHA training did these guys get?
How
Were
much
they
OSHA
OSHA
training do they
trainers?
give?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I learned to be able to accept gloves when I went through EMS training. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah. Now it's getting to the point where if I don't wear this stuff, I could die. So I'm like, all right.
Mm.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that certification, I earned it. Couldn't find a job with it. Ended up in the factory. In the factory, the continuing education that I had time to attend, I didn't have the money to attend.
Mm.
The ones that I had the money to attend, I didn't have the time to attend because of my shifts at the factory.
Yep. I found the
Yeah.
wonder of gloves. Carl loves hamburgers, that's cool. They're easy to make. They're fast to make. But you buy the cheap hamburger, which these days is still like $3 or $4 a pound, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm used to 50 cents. And this you get grease, you get that stuff all over your hands. And even with Dawn and hot water, it's hard to wash off.
Yep.
So I bought those food handling gloves,
Mm-hmm.
which is the stupidest thing ever. It's
Is
one size fits all. I have large hands, and they're still too big on me. They fall off when you're trying to handle the food. So I'm in I think it's in the pain, no, it's in the bandage area. And I see these, what's nitrile? Oh, it's like latex. They're on sale. I'm going to try that. Wonderful. I can do the hamburgers and then, like you say, strip them off so that it doesn't get you. And I just went on to when I handled chicken, the hand that's holding the chicken while the other one's chopping, that's got a glove on it. I love them.
Fun thing about cutting chicken, I always use a fork. Because my mom, when I was very young, well, when my sister and I were very young, we were like, we want to cut things with the big knife too, because we're kids. So she was like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, have a fork and cut with that. It never went away. So I still don't handle meat with like, I don't handle meat with my hands. Like, I just use a fork. Clean fork, stick it in there. It's so much easier. Why don't people do this normally?
I'm not allowed sharp knives.
Neither am I, but I live alone, so nobody can stop me.
I'm a victim of physics, and ironically, he still lets me have my Viking knives and my axes and my swords. But if it's in the kitchen, I'm not allowed a sharp knife. I have a wonderful pair of meat cutting scissors that
Mm-hmm.
could even cut through bone. And let me tell you, you take a chicken breast and that go through that sucker just like that.
Let me guess. They're the black handle ones that have a bottle opener on one blade.
They're orange, and is the bottle opener is between the
Okay.
handles at the
Oh.
end.
You got the deluxe ones, yeah.
Hey, it was on sale.
Mm.
Yes, I'm part Scottish.
Oh.
Oh my god.
The funny thing is, as a little kid, I would go, that costs too much. I'm not spending my money on that. My mother would go, if I didn't know better, I swear you were Scottish. And then I get the DNA test. I'm like, oh wow, yeah.
I could make a joke there, but I'm not.
Hey, there are some things that it is impossible to escape. And if you try, reality will warp itself to make it impossible for you to escape.
Hmm. Well, the funny thing is, I do not like cold. In fact, I was getting ready to transfer to Tampa, Florida with the company that I worked with at the time when I met a damn state of Illinois employee. And here I am, 35 years later. But people who know that go, how could you not like cold and be a Viking? And I'm like, well, and Celtic. That's that the Celtic
Why do
areas.
you think they traveled all over the world to get away from that shit?
Yeah, really.
Exactly. The Celtic half of me, almost half. That's pretty cold country too, as well as the Nordic. But most people don't realize that the Vikings went down and went into the Mediterranean, and I can prove it because I'm also 11% Italian.
Honey, I'm here to tell you they went all the way to Turkey.
Mm.
I've taken I've taken the test. It's like Eric, that extremely sensitive to cold, went to Turkey and had a dalliance with every woman he could find, from England to France to Italy.
Hey, that's
Any
that Viking blood, man.
yeah,
Well,
any place
Harold
the southern
Bluetooth.
European coast touched the water, he had a girlfriend.
Yeah,
Yeah,
girl in every port, right?
our
Hmm.
good friend Harold Bluetooth.
Yes, indeed.
You
The
know,
great negotiator.
Yeah.
the stuff he did in Constantinople. You know, um, he Bugs Bunny. He went under the wall. Um, he
Thank God he didn't take that
invaded the
left turn in
city.
Albuquerque.
He invaded a city from inside a coffin. His followers weren't allowed to carry weapons inside, so they pretended he was dead. He was in the coffin. His coffin was loaded with weapons. They brought it in. They didn't check. And then they raided the city from inside.
You gotta respect the dead, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
and
this is this is the
with the
same
worst.
reason. This is the same region of geography where some Greeks built a big
We
wooden
just thinking the
horse,
same thing.
and people drug it in the city and go, "Hey, this will make a great table decoration at the next feast."
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately,
Well, it did, but not their
Aren't
feast.
those
yeah,
Greeks
really.
cool? They left us a big, cool wooden statue. Why does it sound hollow? Why is it farting? Horses
Why
are
is there
supposed to fart.
why is there giggling coming
I
from
was gonna say the
inside?
same thing. We think way too much alike, Dan, and that's why I love you.
I, I attract people like that. Ask Rich.
Yeah.
Oh heavens! It's just okay. How absurd can the universe get? Add 30%. Here
Yeah.
I am. Oh Lord.
Oh. Oh, Mike.
People like us have to exist so that people like my wife can make the average.
I
My wife
guess.
is very, very reserved. Yeah, not.
Oh.
Oh.
Your hair's very curly, isn't it, Mike?
Oh yeah.
Uh, if it was black instead of red, that's what Carl kind of looked like when I talked him into letting his hair grow that long.
I it's getting thinner, but it's still pretty thick. I got that one from my mom because my dad was, bald when he was 30. I'm only 1 year away.
Uh-huh.
Damn it, I'm 29 in 4 days. Uh,
I just
I feel
started filling out Social Security forms today.
Son of a, I was gonna say I got bras older than you.
I got grandkids older than him.
Well, I I
I
I talked Carl into growing his hair. And of course, being a state employee, he had to pull it back in a ponytail. And he finally said, "That's it. It's going because he doesn't like long hair." I'm sorry, I'm a child of the 60s. If a guy has hair on his head, I like it long.
I gotta agree.
So when he had, I said, I got it. You got to let me keep the ponytail. So he puts it in a rubber band and I snip it off. It's only this long, curly, curly, curly. When you stretch it out, it's 12 inches long, but it's so curly that it was barely 3 inches long.
I went very short for a couple of years involuntarily. So my ponytail and beard are kind of a personal statement. Um, Before that, it was even longer, and it would come down, to my lower arm when I got out of the shower and I brushed it, and then within 5 minutes, it went zip.
Mm-hmm. Yep, mine would do the same thing.
Misty gets mad at me when I let my hair grow. I'm under the impression that at some point in time I'm going to lose my hair. So if I have long hair now, the years that I've got thinning to no hair, it averages out to a full head of hair my entire life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Well,
has been my
yeah.
philosophy for the past 44 years, since I was 5 years old.
Yeah. Well, in Carl's family, all the men were bald by the time they were 35 to 40. His brother, being extremely good looking when he was younger, was, of course, worried about this,
Hmm.
which meant his hair really thinned. Carl's like, I don't give a shit. So he had a bit of a bald spot, but he was never really going bald. And I always told him, as long as you have facial hair, I don't care if you got hair on your head.
My grandpa was bald when he was 18.
Mm.
My dad was bald before he was 30, and here I am, breaking records in the family.
Um,
My dad's side of the family, gray hair started about 15 to 16
mm-hmm.
and went on from there. Um, Mom, when he was about 18, mom was about 17, and dad was flirting with mom, basically one car to another back in the 50s. Um, Mama said, I don't want to go meet that old man. And it was about the time he was 70. He was rocking the Captain Picard look really well.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no fear of when my receding hairline is going to go right on back. I don't care. I know what I'm going to look like. Believe me. And
Oh,
I can rock that look too, but at the moment, it seems like every time I get it cut, there's more gray. I mean, how much more gray can there be? It's
a lot.
freaking white right now. How can it get? It does. It does get grayer. It's somewhere in there. There's one dark brown hair that is holding out until the day I die, and then it's going to turn white, even if it's the only damn hair I got on my head. And it's going to be an object lesson to everybody that comes around going, you know, them rednecks, they can rock some white hair.
Well,
Yep.
after he cut his ponytail off, Carl would keep his hair so short that I kept telling him, you might as well just cut it, just shave it all off. I think you'll look okay. I think you've got the head for it. And he resisted and resisted. And he finally shaved it all off. And I was right.
I
And then
couldn't do.
he starts going like this. And I said, you cannot afford the divorce. if you, uh, you can go back to just a mustache, but if you go barefaced, which I've seen a picture of him barefaced, as you cannot afford the divorce.
You and Misty would get along so well. Very few times I've been clean shaven around her. The very first time, she was so pissed it wasn't even funny. One, she likes, at the bare minimum, she likes me in the goatee. But the thing is, my best friend and I, when we shave, we have the baby face. And she's like, I look so old compared to you. I'm like, but I'm the older one.
I just, again, I'm a child of the 70s. I love facial hair. But his first wife, he's had a mustache since he was like 15. He could shave at 7 o'clock in the morning and have a 5 o'clock shadow by 10. When we went on our honeymoon, he says, "Do you mind if I grow a beard?" And I'm like, I was trying to think of a way to ask you to grow one. You know how when you first grow it, you sometimes have to shave it off and let it grow back?
It's
He
patchy
had
until you learn, yeah.
no, he had a full beard in 5 days.
Yeah,
Full beard.
I can relate hard.
But his first wife said, "I've never seen you without a mustache. I want to see what you look like." And he gets half of it shaved off, and she told him, "Oh, no, I don't like that." He's, "Well, it's too late now, because I'm not going around with a half a mustache." So he shaved the other half. What happened to be the year that he had to get his driver's license renewed. And so he had a driver's license picture without a bare face, and for some reason he kept it. And he showed it to me, and I'm like, that's never happening again.
So if you want to see Bold Mike, let me see, where is it? Screen 2. There we go. I look so awful. There we go.
That's pretty good. At least you got facial hair.
It runs in the family, but yeah, I prefer my long hair. Again, this was involuntarily, so.
Yeah. My mother's father, my grandpa Miller, who had black Irish in him, had a full head of coal black hair till the day he died.
Wow.
In his 80s. Just black as coal.
Yeah.
Friday night, when we were sitting in the restaurant, my wife said, you wanted him to wear his dentures, and I'm glad you like the way he looks with the dentures. And Mom says, "Oh yes, I love it, I love it, I love it." And then she goes, "As a Christmas present, I'm going to get him to have a haircut and be clean shaven." I looked over at my brother and my sister, and my sister's eyebrows were trying very hard to raise all the way up to the back of her neck.
Mm-hmm.
And I just looked at my sister and I go, "Yeah, I can afford a divorce." Nothing else was said about me being clean shaven the rest of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Uh,
My one sister-in-law, whom we call her the Bloomington bitch. I mean, it was no wonder my brother drank.
Ah.
The first time she met him, made a comment about, how can you stand how can you stand the beard? And I'm like, oh, because it's so soft when it rubs. Oh, wait a minute, you don't want to know that, do you?
That is a nice mustache.
So from 8 years ago, no more than that. This is the second renewal with that. The wife's not fond of the handlebar. I kind of like it. She'll put up
Handlebars
with
are
the
cool.
handlebar because she'll put up the handlebar because at least it's facial hair.
Half long. Totally not a mugshot. What are you talking about?
Oh, you look like Skunk from Stupid O'Clock.
Yeah, I kind of do. Yeah, no, I actually saw him at some point. I'm like, well, that looks familiar.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you were talking about white hair. My boss is at the flower shop that I was a secretary bookkeeper at for several years. She was totally white haired by the time she was 20, and he was by the time he was mid 20s. I mean, their kids did not stand a chance.
Mm-hmm.
But when they first got together, she would still dye her hair back to her normal color. And I guess one time they had an argument. And she's like any woman under 5 years old, 5 feet old. I mean, like my mom used to say, they do dynamite up in little packages.
Mm-hmm.
And had to cut the argument short because she had an appointment to get her hair dyed. And he made the mistake of saying, well, you ought to just dye it red because you got the temper to go with it. So she came home a redhead that day.
Yeah, that's one thing that I'm not gonna win on is the hair starting to turn gray because I'm starting to get blonde highlights already. I'm turning into instead of a salt and pepper beard, I'm getting a curry and paprika. I personally love it.
It looks good.
No, I'm not complaining.
Well, and people find out about my Nordic. I mean, I'm kind of equally Norse, Swedish, and what's that other one up there?
Danish.
Anyway,
Yeah.
they're like, how can you be that? You're not blonde. You're not blonde. And I'm like, do you know where a lot of gingers come from? Redheads? Gingers come from Ireland and Scotland. And the dark redheads, like myself, come from the Northlands. People say stupid things.
Don't they just, though?
Well, the common misconception that a lot of people think that Thor was blonde or whatever because of Marvel. Thor and a lot of the Eddas was redhead, if I recall.
Yes, he was a redhead. Freya, my patroness, was redhead.
Yeah, that suits.
Patronus or Patronus, both are applicable.
Freya is the most dude goddess ever. Fighting and fucking.
And now you know why she's my patroness.
And she very fitting.
And thank you. And she likes cats.
Let that be a lesson to you. When you meet Donna, argue with her. Otherwise, you could get in big trouble.
Oh, okay, I get that now.
Oh, sometimes I'm too subtle for my own good.
Make sure it's not the fight, not the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm pretty good at the other one too.
No doubt.
I kind of don't want Misty to murder me in my sleep.
I don't think Lindsay would wait for me to nod off.
I'm too young to be ready.
Misty took a couple of good lessons from my mom. My mom, told her that should I ever raise my hand to her, that it'll only happen once, because as soon as I fall asleep, get the frying pans. So if suddenly I go missing and Misty has a new set of cookware, you know what happened.
Mm,
Yeah, the old one got dented.
Bomb.
The old one is evidence.
Same thing.
yeah. Ironically, I am not allowed a gun because Carl's afraid I'll accidentally shoot him in the middle of the night.
Oh, honey, it wouldn't be an accident.
I did air quotes. And yet he still lets me have my axes, which I am really, I'm a good shot, but I am excellent with axes.
Never rely on the thickness of a door when a Viking is involved.
Here's Johnny.
I
The
have one.
reason that walls deterred Vikings wasn't that they couldn't get through them. It's like, fuck it, too much effort. This guy down the block here doesn't have walls. We can, raid them and be back here to raid later in the week.
Mm-hmm.
Really. Set this one on fire. We'll be back later when the walls aren't there.
Yeah. I can relate to that.
It was a case of fuck it, too far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I keep my axe out in case we're ever broken in, because there's this weird part of me that kind of hopes it happens, because I really want to see the look on some guy's face when he's coming up the stairs, and there's this fat woman standing at the top with an axe in her hand going, "Blood for Thor!"
I got to get a new one because I think I left the old one at the apartment or the old house, but I printed them off anyway, so I mean, no big deal. I had a sign that said, "This house is protected by a Norseman whose steel has not tasted blood in too long."
Mhm.
Had that posted right in the window. Once everything gets settled, my practice weapons and possibly my actual steel will probably be on this wall and that wall. So you might see it in some future videos when I finally start recording. I don't know where the hell I was going. Oh, no. My alarm system, or not my alarm system, my security system is a 400-pound Viking charging at you in the middle of the night in a dark hallway. I don't care who the hell you are. You have not trained for that scenario. You will probably not get a good shot. You might get me in the arm. You might graze me or something like that. But you're going to be like, what the hell's going on? You're not going to be, Dirty Harry Callahan,
Mm-hmm. Larry Niven once said in a story, one character was speaking to another, before you grab your crowbar or your rolling pin or your sword or whatever and charge the burglar breaking into your house, be sure to put on your pants, because most people's mind, naked equals defenseless.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're charging some intruder, you don't want them to think you're defenseless. And the other character came back and said, on the other hand, being charged by a naked guy with a sword is probably going to shock the crap out of a burglar.
Oh yeah.
That's my theory. Yeah.
Take it up a notch. Really screw with their head. Large naked man chasing after the burglar with a dildo.
Okay, funny thing.
I'm on a loop, boy.
So a couple of years ago, so a good friend of mine has very, very abusive parents, like very controlling and everything. So a couple of years ago, I told him at a Christmas party here, like, bro, if you have personal stuff that you don't want them to look into, get yourself a gigantic Bad Dragon pink dildo. 2 weeks ago at the Renaissance Fair, he came to me going, you know what? That thing you told me 5 years ago at the Christmas party works. I'm like, told you. He has a dragon dick this size in a cupboard.
They're not going to look any further.
And don't go any further. He can put whatever he wants in there. They will not look into that cupboard.
There was a guy that was in one of the local SCA groups that I heard this story. I don't know if it's true, but he had a classic Corvette. One of those things that is one of the cars that will probably disappear if you park it for too long unattended.
Mm-hmm.
He had a giant-sized teddy bear that he strapped into the passenger seat with a giant-sized strap-on dildo attached to the teddy bear. That was the safest car ever. Nobody ever went. I mean, they might have looked in, but they didn't try and open the door.
Oh,
They go, "Oh, whoever owns this is weird. I'm going to go over to this Volkswagen."
if they ever find me, that is not the challenge I want to accept.
Yeah, really. If I get caught, I know where that bear is going. I'm getting out of here.
Oh God! Take that a step further. Have it set up so that the bear's on a motion sensor, and if the bear moves, an internal recorder will start playing the from Deliverance. Squeal like a big boy.
I used to go camping in Tallulah Gorge, where the the dummy going over a waterfall scene was filmed for Deliverance, and Burt Reynolds decided he didn't want the mannequin to do the job. Um, he told the director that looks like a dummy going over a waterfall, so Burt Reynolds did it himself. Went and asked the director, "What is that? What was that? Is that okay? What did it look like?" The director says, "Looked like a dummy going over a waterfall." But I used to go camping in Tallulah Gorge, where part of Deliverance was filmed, and I never once heard any banjo music. Obviously, the banjo player took one look at me and went, "Not today.
No,
That boy crazy."
with that, with the bear, you should go the Adventure Bros on it, where it's got to turn its head, looking outside, going, "Are you my friend?"
Oh, Doctor Who fans would come up with a different answer.
Mhm.
Blink, blink.
I have a gas mask.
10 points for Gryffindor.
And actually, as soon as it was delivered, I put it on and I looked at Misty. I'm like, "Are you my mummy?" Oh boy! Oh
Oh,
boy!
I do like the fact that one of the Capaldi shows, Mummy on the Orient Express, There was an actual mummy as one of the monsters, and Capaldi's doctor had the nerve to stand there and look at the thing and go, "Are you my mummy?" I always wanted to say that.
Yeah.
I'm going,
Oh yeah.
dude, you're not supposed to remember the past lives that well.
Oh God, that was glorious. Yes.
Oh
That was one
God,
of the
yes.
better episodes.
Uh, good Lord. Uh, I've got crossovers with so many fandom. Um, there is no telling what kind of tangent that my mind will leap to, uh, and quantum leap to at times. Um,
Mm,
They're rebooting that.
it's in negotiations. They don't want Scott back, and the fans are going, "We're not going to watch it." Um, Dean Stockwell has passed away, so that's one black mark against rebooting it.
mm-hmm.
They don't want Scott Bakula to come back even for a cameo to turn it over to another character who would be in the same situation. But the fans are going, nope, nope, don't waste your money. If you screw it up, we're not going to watch it.
Yeah, there's some things you just leave alone.
As much as I hate the final episode for the way it ended, it ended.
Yeah.
And if you want to milk that cash cow, you're going to have to come up with a better idea.
Mm-hmm.
The power of fandom is amazing. We can get stuff done.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Classic Trek got renewed for a third season.
Because
Wasn't
of
a
it.
particularly good set of stories, but the actors didn't have anything to do with that. They just didn't buy good scripts.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like a lot of these scripts for Capaldi and Jody.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I really wish Jodie had got some good scripts because
Yeah.
Too.
I love her acting.
Yeah.
She's already proved in other shows that she is fantastic, but
I
she was
loved her
not.
with I loved her with Tennant and Broadchurch.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was just not given scripts equal to her ability, or even close most of the
No.
time.
No. Exactly. Like the writing was boring.
hmm
It's not that she is boring as a doctor. She
Mm-hmm.
would have rocked it.
They
And
just decided to give her crap.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that they couldn't turn out better because they proved they could turn out better in
yeah.
other venues and but it's it's as if the BBC said, "Okay, you want a woman doctor, we'll give you a woman doctor. We're
Mm-hmm.
not going to give you good stories cuz
Yeah,
we
it
hate
seemed a
this
little pandering.
idea." Yeah,
Now I'm wondering how
and
well they're going to do for the new one
for Shooty, yeah.
because he's a a colored fella.
Yep.
Honestly, not against that either, like at all. I would love to see him. From what I've seen, he's a really good actor as well. It's
Yeah.
never the acting.
Yeah.
It
No, no,
really
it's
isn't.
not. It's not. It's the scripts.
Yeah.
I have to
Like,
say I didn't watch Jody's last season.
I
I
didn't
just
watch
I,
it further than the first half of the first season because I just went, I'm sorry, but this is crap. I'd rather quit it when it was still a good memory in my head.
I
Um, I,
wished
I
I'd done that.
I watched all of it because I knew she was worth watching, no matter if the scripts were or not. And I've been watching this stuff for decades, many decades. So, I have seen bad scripts before that Tom Baker could not save, and that's going a ways right there.
Baker was
Uh,
my first.
mhm.
Uh, I wasn't fond of Matt Smith. And some of those scripts were, I felt idiotic.
Mhm.
There's a lot of goofiness there with Smith. I do my favorite piece with him is from the Beast Below, I believe, which was his second
Mhm.
episode.
I think
And
so.
just at the end where he's just this young 26-year-old punk is able to give you this look of such age and weariness, and I'm like, holy crap, that was his the Doctor moment. Everyone has one.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Capaldi was his war speech, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
Um, Tenet, for me, his the Doctor moment came from his second Christmas special, where he's in there with the Queen of the Arachno, and he's just being completely whimsical and goofy and stuff like that, which is his main character persona.
Yeah.
Um, and then just in half a heartbeat goes from goofy and lovable and whimsical to fucking psychopath. Just the entire range of the Doctor in just that one brief moment, and I'm just like, so
Mm-hmm.
my favorites will always be Baker and Tennant.
I have a soft spot for Davidson because he was my first doctor.
Well, they
I
have
mean,
all had
Yeah.
special moments that defined the character
yeah,
within their own range.
the
Mm-hmm.
there's
Technically,
the
Jodie was
Doctor
my
moment.
first.
Sorry, what was that?
Technically, Jodie Whittaker was my first Doctor
Ah,
because I wasn't in. Like my ex introduced me to the Doctor Who universe, and yeah, like because I don't watch TV or anything as a whole, to be honest. She was like, "Hey, there's a new season of Doctor Who coming up," and I'm like, "Well, I hear everyone talking about it, and I might as well join." So we watched the first episode of the first season with Jodie, and I was like, "Okay, yeah, I can see why you're liking this, because yeah, that first episode rocked. Like that was a very good transformation and everything." And then we started to go back from the new Who all the way to modern day, and then we got to Jodie and further into the series, and I was like, yeah, okay, I can see where this is dying.
Mm-hmm.
I I would if I were trying to introduce somebody to the series that either had never heard of it before or had doubts about it, I would go watch every multiple Doctor story
Hmm.
yes.
from the
Yeah.
very
Yes.
beginning, and if that makes sense to you, that all these people can be the same person,
Mm-hmm.
then go further, dig deeper. The classic stuff, masterpiece theater acting with a Dark Shadows budget. You can see the sets wobble, but the acting is
Mm-hmm.
it's right there. And sometimes it's over the top, and sometimes they had Brian Blessed in there where it was so far over the top it went into another universe.
Yeah.
But and nothing against Brian because he does everything at 150%, and that's on a bad day. And then I discovered uh, Hertz War Doctor. And I'm
Mm.
going, oh, this is even better than Patrick Troughton, who was my doctor for many, many years, even though Tom Baker was the first one I ever got to watch. I absolutely love John Pertwee. Got to watch Patrick Troughton. I go, oh, this guy I can identify with. Got to watch as many as possible of the Hartnell stories, and it was just okay. This is the old school. This is the way it began. This is great. The scripts are definitely 60s,
Hmm.
but did the best they could with what they had to work with.
Yeah.
I absolutely adored Tom Baker, Peter Davison. Colin Baker's finest hour was in the last couple of episodes of Trial of a Time Lord up against the Valyard. I mean, that he finally got to rise above the weird beginning that he was given. Sylvester McCoy was downright spooky at times, and that was really good. Then the revival came along. Eccleston nailed it from the first scene.
Mm-hmm.
As Nick
Yeah.
likes to say, the PTSD doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And I have a very soft spot for Paul McGann's Doctor from the TV movie. Even though the TV movie gets panned by everybody because it was made in the U.S. with U.S. money and blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah. And I'm going, look, he nailed being the Doctor.
Yeah.
One of the best
And
regeneration scenes, as far as I'm concerned, too.
oh yeah, that I mean, you had the money for actual special effects instead of, a strobe light and a freaking quick scene change. Ooh, I could see where they chopped it
Mm-hmm.
from one actor to the other. No, no, this
Pulling
was
the
this
wire
was
out of
a
his
really
chest
good one.
because it was giving him a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Tennant, I adored. Matt Smith grew on me. I didn't like him at first. Uh, Capaldi, I
I
just
love
went.
Capaldi.
I just went. Oh yeah, grumpy doctor. I love this.
Oh, yes.
Misty's favorite is Tennant, and
Mm-hmm.
that is because of his second episode, Tooth and Claw.
Mm.
Yes.
Because Misty and I are big werewolf fans. Which I'll be talking about werewolves tonight with the Cryptid Crunch crew.
Mm.
Sweet.
If
Cool
John remembers to
beans.
send me the invite.
Thank you for reminding me that's going to be on this week because I try never to miss that. I absolutely adore Willa and Keisha.
I was not expecting them to take me up on that soon. I'm like, good thing I actually know the topic well.
If John
He
interferes,
messaged me on Friday to remind me or to see if I was still interested in doing it. Said he was going to send me the information in the morning. So, so Madam Mike. Oh, okay. Audio only.
he just had to run to the restroom, I assume.
Yeah. Um.
If Pika would just leave everybody alone and not try and turn everything into a pop culture reference,
Now he didn't do too bad on the last one.
well, you're right. Begrudgingly said.
Yeah.
Um, he
It's
has
hard to
he
go
has
pop
ruined
culture
a
on
couple of them.
Boogeyman.
Yeah.
It's really easy to go pop culture on werewolf.
Yeah. Well, but instead of talking about the Yeti in terms of it's been seen here, it's been seen. All of a sudden, he's talking about movies like Littlefoot. He's throwing up cartoons, and it is like
And
this is not.
little plastic dolls.
Yeah, I'm
And
like
Willow and Keisha are sitting there going, "We actually looked up references. Can we get a word in edgewise?"
not with him around.
Oh boy.
I I I
It'll be
really
interesting. I can talk hours on werewolves. I have
Cool,
talked hours on werewolves.
cool.
Um, that's another thing where Misty and I share a very special interest where it's our favorite monster. It's the Howling fuck with her so bad
oh
that
yeah.
after watching it, she swore there was
That
a
was a
werewolf in her
Whitney
closet.
Strieber that was a Whitney Strieber novel, wasn't it?
I was thinking about the movie, but possibly.
Well, no, I mean the movie was based on a Whitley Strieber novel, if I remember correctly. Um, and he did it really well, and the movie was really well done too. I got nothing to
Uh,
object to there.
Gary Bradner.
Gary Bradner. Okay. Hmm. Okay.
What?
Um. Well, I'm hoping there's a based on the novel by somewhere in the credits, but you know, I am prepared to be mistaken because I most frequently am. I remember things that happened in alternate universes instead of right here. Um, at least the stoplights are not green in this one. I can still drive.
Yeah, if my dad ever goes somewhere where the stoplights are turned upside down, he's fucked.
Colorblind.
Yep. Man can wire a furnace with no problem whatsoever. Can't tell that he's actually wiring the green to the green, but he is wiring the green to the green.
They
Um,
have they have
It's the same
classes that
shade
can
of
fix
gray.
that now. I have a friend who's colorblind. Worked as a chemist for the VA for like 20 years before they finally found out he's colorblind.
Hmm.
And he got fitted with these glasses that I don't know what they do, but he says it's like being in a whole new world because he's seeing colors, red and green, like they're supposed to be.
There's a very very small town close by here. When I was a child, there was only one stoplight intersection in the entire town, and it's four-way stop.
Hmm.
They couldn't afford to have separate light bulbs for north, south, east, west, red, yellow, green. So, one side, green on the bottom, yellow in the middle, red on top. The other direction was reversed. Three
Oh,
light bulbs. So, you had the stop on the bottom, the caution in the middle, and the go on top. You do
what?
not know how many truck drivers went through red lights thinking they were green because of the position of the lights and not being able to tell red from
Yeah.
green. Or people who had had one too many uh, at the country line dancing bar and plowed through there on what
It's
would have been a red light if it had been in the right position. It might have been the right color, but It's on the bottom. It's supposed to be green.
Why didn't
No,
they just literally flip it around or something? What the hell? There's a
because
reason it's.
they didn't have the money. This was the same town. The only bank in town was in a little trailer.
Oh my god.
Which makes me wonder why not just a single red flashing light?
That's what they went to for many years. Then they finally got enough people moved into the town where they had enough budget to do a real signal.
Wow.
No, we drove through there and I'm going, not only is this the most screwed up stoplight I have ever seen, but the bank is a
Mm-hmm.
trailer about the size of something that would hold a horse. One horse.
Wow.
Why is it nobody ever pulled up and stole the bank?
Wow.
It might have had something to do with the fact that their jail was bigger than the bank and built out of solid granite,
Mm-hmm.
and anybody that got put in there was really lucky to get fed once a week. You know?
Wow.
The jail in my hometown is at least nationally famous. Because in the 30s, a young man named John Dillinger carved a bar of soap into a gun and with some shoe black
Mm-hmm.
escaped the Crown Point jail.
Mm-hmm. I knew exactly where you were going.
Remember that well from studies. Not that I was there at
I
the
was
time.
gonna say.
Ah, glory days.
And
Then he had to go and watch a movie.
Mm,
and Danville back in the day was known as the town that Dillinger uh, scoped out and decided not to rob our bank.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Too damn hard to get away from. Wasn't it a railroad track? There were too many railroad tracks.
We have railroad tracks on the east side, the west side, and the north side,
mm.
and the south side is a cliff.
Yeah, that'll do the trick.
Yeah, didn't strike me as a Thelma and Louise kind of guy.
No.
Because as hard as you try, you're not gonna convince me that a car can fly. And I have seen Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, so
Yeah.
oh
And
Lord.
it's almost as hard to get across. We have a lot less train traffic these days. We told a friend who moved to town, if you're ever late for anything, you don't even have to say I was stopped by a train. Just look at the person and say train, and they'll know why.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought we were crazy until he tried to get around town.
Not on a regular schedule.
We don't have as much train traffic nowadays, but it's still I could still get through the state capital of Springfield faster than I can get through the city of Danville.
The days
There
that I
is
actually have to drive in the office, there's the possibility of me being stopped by the same train twice.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
I can believe it. I can believe it. There's a railroad track very near the factory where I work. Matter of fact, we get raw material deliveries from that track. And if they have to separate the engine and several cars and back down the spur line to deliver several railroad cars to the factory, the rest of the train better be
Mm-hmm.
short or people are going to be really pissed because they're going to be sitting there for about 45 minutes to an
Mhm.
hour. Some days it is quicker to, when you notice the crossbars going down and the lights blinking, to do a U-turn in the middle of a 4-lane road and go up about half a mile and get on a side road and hope that you don't run into
Chose the
the
right
same
direction.
train further along on the track.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there are several ways to beat that train. Most of them involve not going through a school zone in the middle of
Mhm.
the morning. Um, Other than that, you could take an entirely different direction and get to a place where there is no train track to interrupt you and get on the major highway. And at 7 o'clock in the morning, it ain't safe to try and get on that road at that particular place. I mean,
Yeah.
you got people that think that this is Atlanta and not Athens, and they're doing 75 and a 65, and they are
Mhm.
no, well, bumper to bumper basically, and no shits are given. They're not gonna let you pull in.
Mm-hmm.
You gonna wind up at the end of your on ramp, pulled off on the shoulder, going, maybe I should call in because I'm gonna be late.
Yeah.
Um,
On the east side of town,
I shall return.
we have 5 railroad tracks. On the east-west road, there's 2 within 2 blocks of each other. So you get stopped at one, you finally get
Mhm.
through, and then you get the second. On the north-south road, there's about 3 blocks between one and the second one, and a automobile length between the second and third. And the trains always used to run where you get stopped by one, and then the second
Mhm.
one, and then the third one.
My town has 12 trains coming through per hour. There is only one railroad crossing in the entire town. They actually thought about it. But you can imagine that if you're pulling up to that railroad crossing at the wrong time, you're going to be there for 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even because of the trains. They go by pretty quickly. It's very efficient. The problem is that it's a 6-lane road with priority on the 6 lanes, not the railroad crossings.
Mm-hmm.
So if those beams pull up and you don't get a green light, you're going to be there until the next train passes, and then you got to try again.
Yeah. Well, we had the same thing as Dan on the east-west road on the east side of towns where all the factories were. And so, yeah, they'd be 20-minute wait on a train. And so Illinois passed a law. Train could only stand for so many minutes and then it had to move. But that's how they worded it.
Mm-hmm.
So you get these smart ass engineers that would stand there for the amount of time, move about 5 inches, and then stand again. And technically, they had followed the law.
Mm-hmm.
They have not legally defined move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my commute into Chicago is unique. I don't know about the other offices, but we can actually change our punch in to what we should have punched in at if we are late because of anything dealing with the Metro or the CTA. Because every once in a great while, you'll have a train versus pedestrian or train versus car, and we've got people who are commuting, a fair distance. Very few commute as far as I do, but my one way if I take the train is 3 hours. There's a bus that cuts an hour off because I don't have to stop at every station that the train does. But the train has more service times than the bus does.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's my manager was getting antsy and pissy because that morning we had not the train I was on, the train ahead of me was a train versus car. So we had to wait for that to get cleared because we couldn't diverge onto a second track to go around it. And then on the way in, my CTA bus hits a guy. Wasn't bad. Just rolled over the leg. Didn't even break the leg. But still, and I'm just like, really, they're not going to believe this. So, but we got notes and stuff like that. It ended up on the news. So, yeah, it happened. So I'm sitting here. I'm from Northwest Indiana, where this shit doesn't happen. So I'm walking in the office, and I'm like, I'm really, and my boss was antsy until I showed the late slips for the train, and they're just like, all right, whatever, and just walked away. I'm like, really? You're not even going to inspect the late slip? So
if you got a late slip, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They could be from 1920. They'll still accept it.
Yeah.
Back in the early 80s, I was living in a little town called Rossville, north of Danville here. And I was working as secretary for the Ross Township. And the supervisor decided he didn't want to go to this conference up in Chicago. So he's like, you need to go. You need to get the experience. Okay. So I get the puddle jumper up there. I get the taxi to the hotel and arrive there of an afternoon, and the conference is the next day. Meet some of the other people that's there. And this is including, I'll just say, a high official of the airplane people are the FCA?
FAA.
FAA, thank you. Hey, this was a long time ago. I've done stuff since then. Besides other politician stuff, but one of the guys says, hey, we're going to this Greek restaurant. Come with us. I'm going. My mind is going, do I have enough money? And they're like, we'll pay for it. So we go to the Greek restaurant, and I'm flirting with one of the guys. So we take a taxi back to the hotel. The other people sit there, and they're drinking ouzo. Lots of ouzo.
Next best thing to absinthe.
They went to get on the L to come back to the hotel, and they're like, no, we don't allow drunks on the L.
But we're important drunks.
It was either the third or the fourth cab that they finally got to stop for them that brought them back to the hotel. I felt so sorry for them the next day because I walk into this conference room, and I don't think this place has been redecorated since the psychedelic 60s. There is mauve and turquoise swirly Q wallpaper.
Oh my God.
I mean, I'm going
Paisley, yeah. Oh my God.
I'm going, ew. I'm looking over at the FAA guy, and he's sitting here like this. And he looks up at the walls, and he's just like, oh.
There
Is
are
this real
some.
or am I still drunk?
Yes.
Might
Yes
as
and
well
yes.
be.
There are some things that we did in the '60s that really should not be talked about, and Paisley is one of them. Never mind the drugs. I mean, good
Well,
grief. Some of
I
the
actually had a
art that we
red Paisley
perpetrated.
shirt that I liked. It was one of my favorite shirts to
Yeah.
go drinking in.
well, not only the paisley, but the colors that they chose.
Uh-huh.
OMG.
So you mentioned Uzo.
I love Uzo.
One of my good friends recently passed away. He actually passed away Valentine's Day this year. He is one of the reasons I actually became an EMT. I was peer pressured into becoming an EMT. My roommate's ex-fiance, and then her new fiance, and then all the friends were all medics. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, I understood that word. Duh, hell. So I became an EMT just so I could actually understand the conversation going around me. But his side job was he was a bouncer for a bar owned by Greeks. And I love the description of Uzo from the bar owner. He's like, after a good bottle of Uzo, you're going to go outside and fuck a mule.
That's about right.
It's about right, yeah.
And you'll call her the next day.
Yeah. The
Or him.
only
Was that
time
real?
We don't judge. We don't kink
Don't
shame.
judge.
I have only had a hangover once in my life.
Oh, lucky.
I went up. One of my girlfriends, we stayed with her boyfriend in Chicago, and we went to Diana's, which was wonderful, wonderful Greek restaurant. I mean, there's very few places I would stand an hour in line to get in. And it was okay because they had gyros meat that they would feed to people and standing in line.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we go in, and there's us three girls and Joe. This was going to be, he didn't know it then, but this was going to be the breakup weekend. But we needed some place to stay in Chicago for the weekend, so she didn't break up with him until Sunday night. So we're sitting there, and the owner sends over 4 shots of Uso. I'm acquainted with this. My first fiance was Greek, so I know what this is. And my 2 girlfriends are going, I'm not drinking that stuff. That stuff, do you smell that? I'm like, you can't. You got to drink it because he sent it over. You will be offending the owner of this, and they refused to do it. And
You can't
Bravely,
judge
you threw
Greek
yourself in
liquor
front of
or
that train.
cuisine by the scent.
yeah, I drank the 3 shots of Uzo because Joe didn't step up. He only drank his. And then he's like, what kind of wine would you like? You know, I like Mavrodafni. It's a sweet Greek wine. And Joe was a lawyer, so he didn't care what he spent. I said, I'll have some Mavrodafni. I figured they're going to bring out a glass, maybe a small carafe.
Nope.
They bring out a bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And I end up being the only one at the table who drinks it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I drank the whole bottle. Then we go up to the Sears Tower. And I love that elevator. It bounces on the way up. I love that.
I hate that elevator.
I get at the top. I step out of there. I look up over and there's a lake, and oh, that's nice. That's nice. I look to the right, and there's a city, and that's where I find out I'm fucking afraid of heights. And being typical person, if I get enough alcohol, maybe I can get closer to the window.
Mm-hmm. No.
Yeah. I don't remember a lot. I remember that going into the women's room, the entire outer wall was nothing but glass.
Ah.
And I'm going down the stalls with my back to the stall, creeping until I find an empty one. And yeah, Sunday morning was the only time I ever worshiped the porcelain goddess. And my girlfriend's like, you gotta drive home. I can't drive in Chicago.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, Joni, you want me to try? So she ended up driving.
Had to go to a trainer meeting on the 83rd of the tower. I got about 15 feet from the window and my knees gave out. I'm like, okay, I need to turn around. I need to crawl over here. Please tell me our conference room we're doing this in is internal. Thankfully, it was. I'm fine looking out. Looking
down.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why if I get closer than 15 feet from the window, that high, I love heights. I love free fall. I hate the sudden stop. I've had so many of those sudden stops that I am surprised I can walk today. I can't count how many times I've dislocated shoulders and hips falling and or being pushed off of roofs.
Guys, I really start heading out because I got stuff to do, and yesterday I was gone literally 18 hours. So,
Understood, sweetie.
After weekend.
Well, we have gone 2.5 hours now.
Oh,
Joe's
wow.
gonna be
And
very happy
I'm
about
I'm
that.
gonna have to post a special notice. I didn't fall asleep.
It's not my fault. They kept talking.
I expected Joe Dog to jump in here going, "Hey, y'all still awake?"
Yeah.
And yeah, okay. You remember when I said Uzo's the next best thing to absinthe?
Yeah.
They had.
I'm gonna hop out. Take it easy, lovelies.
Good night, Mike.
Have a great
Good
one,
night,
Mike.
Mike.
Stay awesome.
At one convention in Atlanta I went to, they had absinthe from Europe that they got over before the U.S. ban was lifted.
Ooh,
So this was the real deal.
the good stuff.
Uh-huh. And I was one of the few people brave enough to take a few shots of it. And I like licorice, so it wasn't a problem. It does have that strong anise flavor. And I had about 5 shots, maybe. I don't know. I lost count after 3. Rode the elevator downstairs and somehow managed to stagger my way out to the area in between the buildings, and I'm leaning up against the wall going, damn, I'm glad you're here. And I'm stomping my feet to try and make sure that I do not accidentally go to sleep standing up after this much of a very, very stout liquor. Um, and I'm finally sober enough to try and find the elevator again and go up to my room and go to bed. You would not believe the fractal walk that I made to get to that damn elevator.
Oh yeah, I would.
And then uh, by the time I had pushed the up button, I realized I was so innervated that I could feel the universe turning. I mean, seriously, not just the
Oh,
galaxy, but the whole damn universe. The planet spinning beneath my feet, the galaxy spinning with with the planet in the middle of, and then the whole damn. It's like a scene from one of Eccleston's Doctor Who's where he knows exactly the movement of everything, and basically he's laying on the ground, grabbing to it to make sure he doesn't fly off. Just poetically speaking, and I'm going,
The universe song from The Meaning of Life.
mm-hmm. So I got up. I think our room was on the fifth or sixth floor. Oh, and did I mention it was a glass elevator?
oh, oh my.
Somebody on the 10th floor or the 11th had punched the button and overrode my fifth floor. So I got all the way up to the top. And there's like one solid wall of this elevator, and it has the doors. And I'm leaning up against the brass rail, bolted to the outside window, and looking down at the lobby of the hotel inside, and I'm going, you know, I'm glad I can't fly, 'cause I'd probably get airsick. Somebody got on the elevator. We rode back down to my floor. I got off and staggered to the room. It only took me like 4 tries to get the right end of the door card to read so I could unlock the door. And I'm standing inside the room and I'm going, we're not going to have a problem here, are we? This I'm going to be able to go to bed. I'm not going to sleep in the bathroom floor clutching the toilet, right? Are you listening, Dan?
No.
I hear you. Um, we'll give it our best shot. So somehow or another, I staggered over to the bed, and somehow or another, I remembered how to take my clothes off so I could lay down in the bed. The next morning, I don't remember going to sleep. I don't remember the night. I do remember how I got there and what circumstances caused me to be very, very glad that the curtains and the blackout curtains were both drawn on our hotel room. Alarm clock went off at 7 a.m. so that Lindsay and I could go down and get breakfast. Breakfast was the furthest thing from my mind at 7 a.m. I drank an entire pitcher of water waiting on my first cup of coffee. And I'm glad they had that water. I would have gladly paid the entire price of the breakfast just for that pitcher of water. Oh, Lord. Uh, it was not that my head was spinning. It was everything was spinning. My head was fine. Um, it was quite stationary, but everything else seemed to be on rinse and spin.
Misty is my true polar opposite. She is the yin to my yang. When it comes to elevators, if it's a regular elevator, I'm fine. She freaks out. She's claustrophobic. If it's a glass elevator, it's exactly the opposite. I'm
Hmm.
like, I'm fine with going up as long as I can't see the ground going farther away.
Oh, this was the same convention where earlier, before I'd had anything to drink, I had started. I took the elevator all the way to the top floor, the penthouse floor. I had a movie camera. I started the camera up, hit the ground floor, went all the way down, and I was filming looking out the window, all the way down to the lobby. Got out, did a walk around, showing all the different vendors and all the different stuff that was going on at the convention. Got back in the elevator, punched for the top floor again so I could get the end of the thing just going all the way up, and I'm still filming the lobby as it went higher and higher and higher and higher. Everything worked out just fine because I had not been drinking at that time.
Too bad this isn't the green room. Down it could have hashtags, filming yourself going down and filming yourself getting up.
Yeah, really. What was the Robin Williams routine? Uh, I'm gonna get down. I'm gonna get back up again. Guess which one is harder?
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Um, that video did not get very many views. I think I did actually post it on YouTube. Um, because glass elevator, down, up. No, people are going. Ain't. Nope, nope, nope. I don't care if it is Atlanta. Um, you couldn't pay us enough to watch this. We'd rather drive on 285 than watch this video. And I'm going, well, yeah, I'd rather watch the video than drive on 285. What's your point? At least
Okay,
nobody's trying to kill me in the elevator.
that does remind me. Um, I've driven through Georgia twice. Once going to my in-laws and once coming back. How the fuck are people still alive in Georgia with the way they drive? I would expect everyone to be dead from automobile accidents.
Mm.
Um, okay. My wife is convinced I have a superpower where I can predict the future. We're driving in Atlanta. 12-lane highway. We've got six on our side. There's six going the other way. I'm in the middle, dead center, going a reasonable facsimile of the speed limit. Flowing with the traffic, not paying perfect adherence to the law. And I look over in the ultimately fast, bat out of hell lane, and I'm going, oh God, you see that guy in the blue Corvette? He's going to do something stupid in just a few seconds. About 3 seconds later, as soon as I shut my mouth, blue Corvette goes across 6 lanes of traffic without a turn signal, hits an off ramp. And my wife goes, how did you know he was going to do that? And I go, it's Atlanta. People do stupid shit. I expect it.
Last year, coming home from Hallowcon,
Oh.
Pardon me. We were just pulling out of Chattanooga Sunday morning, so there's not a lot of traffic. Pardon me. And all of a sudden, this sports car, boom, got to be doing a minimum of 100, probably more. And not 2 minutes later, second sports car. And Carl and Michaela are speculating on why these guys are moving so fast on a Sunday morning. And they figure, oh, it's two guys in a sports car. They decide to have a race. And I'm thinking, you don't know what road we're on, do you?
75 north.
Drug run. I'll
Mm-hmm.
bet my life.
Yep. Um, oh, I'll tell you a good one happened to us today. We're coming from the closest small town, 2-lane road. Only one section of passing lane in 7 miles. This big ass silver pickup truck has been on my bumper from the time we left the 35-mile-an-hour construction zone right outside of town. We got up to a place where it's still a double yellow line on a blind curve.
And got passed.
Silver truck goes, wow! Gets between me and the car that was going exactly the same speed as me, which is, 5 over the speed limit, which I wouldn't say allowed to do, but rarely
You
get
do.
pulled over for. And then we get to the one section where there is a passing lane. Silver truck pulls out with an oncoming car within 100 yards, flies around the guy in front of us. Would have been me, but the three of us. Keeps going, bat out of hell mode, and I'm going, where the fuck are the cops when this guy is acting a fool?
Mm-hmm.
And why are they always on my ass when I'm just trying to get from the golden pantry to the house so I can have a beer?
Yeah, last month I think it was, we went to Muncie, Indiana for a Muncie event. And we like to go the back roads
Yep.
and ignore the. So we're going along. I mean, it's a state route, but it's only a 2-laner. And there's a truck in front of us with two, not one, but two anhydrous tanks.
Ooh.
And us. And he's not doing too bad considering. And we're in the double yellow, no passing. And this bride behind us decides we're not going fast enough, so she goes around. I think there was a car between us and the truck too. So she goes around all of it in a no passing zone. And Carl starts pedaling back at the speed because we figure she's going to be just about that anhydrous when somebody comes the opposite direction. We don't want to be part of the fireball.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
But she lucked out and got in front of him before anybody came. And it's like, crap. It's getting away with shit like that makes them do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. When karma is not paying attention, you just go, if it had been me, fill in the blank.
Mm-hmm.
I figure when I'm driving, karma is always paying attention. So I'm that's the source of the superpower that I mentioned earlier when I can predict the stupidity of other drivers around me. It's because I used to ride motorcycles on that road, and I know
Yeah,
how
yeah,
stupid
stupid.
cars can be.
Yeah,
I'm the only way to stay alive when you ride a motorcycle is to be totally paranoid of everybody else
everybody.
on the road. And
Mm-hmm.
you have to adopt the mindset that they are hired assassins out to kill
Give
you.
you back
Doesn't
in,
matter what reality is. The only way to be safe
yeah,
is to pretend they're
that
out to
they're out
get
to
you.
get you. Back in 2019, our science fiction club was at Barnes and Noble doing gift wrapping. It's our big fundraiser, which means it's after dark when we get out. And my friend Julie's car was not working, so I had to go to Champaign via Rantoul and back. And I have night blindness. And we're coming back and it's raining on top of being dark.
Always a bad combination.
And we're coming up to where we turn off onto this one road to go back east. And I'm looking, I'm like, there's something wrong with those car lights headed for me. And about that time, Julie says, Carly, she's in our lane. And fortunately, there was a slip to the side where you could pull over and go into the gas station there, because that's the only thing that saved us.
Hmm
I'm like, okay.
I've actually seen that on my way to work. The it's a divided four lane, and for some reason, one morning, 6:20 a.m., and the last 100 yards before I get to the stoplight that I have to make a left turn, somebody come barreling up my lane. I get
Mhm.
over. They
And they
go
get
by
over.
in
Oh.
the they go by in the wrong lane like a bat out of hell. No lights. I mean, no blue lights. It
Hmm.
wasn't a police car, which I could figure in an emergency a cop might figure that's a good idea. Get back over into the left lane, make my turn. Somebody else just does the same damn thing, and I'm going, y'all aren't cops? What the fuck's going on? No explanation. Didn't make the news.
Hmm.
Evidently, they safely managed to get on up the road and eventually get into the actual lane they were supposed to
Supposed to
be in.
be in.
I mean, two within 5 minutes of each other. This is a pattern. I don't know what they were up to. I don't know what's going on. I'm just going, fine. I'm sitting at my stoplight waiting on the turn arrow. I'm going to get to work on time and I'm still alive. I'm ahead of the curve.
Hmm. Well,
I wish
that's.
I knew.
Hmm.
I wish I knew what was going on. But in 45 years of driving to work on that same route, that's the only time I ever saw that.
Wow. Later that same night, I drop her off in Rantoul. I'm coming across 150, which is still a just a 2 lane highway. And there's this area by Bell Helmet Factory that's only either 45 or 50. And because of my night blindness, I'm doing I'm doing about 5 miles under that. The car behind me has no problem with that. And so I going through this area, and we're not quite out of that area where you could get back up to 55, and all of a sudden this car goes around the both of us. And then I find out why the car behind me is okay with my speed, because the blue lights come on. And he pulls around me and pulls his fool over. And I'm like, all right, for once the cop was where he needed to be.
Yep, really. I was just thinking today, where is a cop when you need one? Oh, wait a minute. Probably driving the silver fucking truck.
So, back when I was dating my ex-psychopath, coming home from their place, god awful o'clock in the morning, and I'm at a stoplight, and I'm jamming out to my Billy Joel. Guy in the lane to my right, is acting like he's bopping along. He makes his, for me to roll down my window. I roll down my window. Yeah, acts like he's bopping along. Young kid, probably late teens. But he's sitting there just whatever, and so is his girlfriend. As soon as the light turns green, he screams out the window, "You're fat!" and takes off. And I'm sitting there going, all right, tell me something I don't know. It's at this stage, I kind of have the idea. It's not like all of a sudden I woke up one day and I'm bloated. But the best part of it was, so we were at the stoplight of a grocery store. And he was actually in the turn lane where he should have turned into the grocery store. He went straight. Came very close to hitting the county cop that was sitting there finishing up notes from a ticket that he just let go. So he wrote the ticket. The guy let it off. He had turned his lights off, his cherries, but he still had his regular parking lights on like that. As he finished up his quick report, pulled him over so fast it's not even funny. I'm just like, that is just the best piece of instant karma ever. Young
yes.
punk tries to, and he almost hits a cop, and then the cop pulls him over.
Yep.
Meanwhile, I'm slowly driving by, just turn my head and just keep driving. And then his girlfriend's in the passenger seat, then going.
I would have been sorely tempted if I had power windows at the time to roll my window down, slowly go by and go, I may be fat, but you'll always be stupid, and keep going. Then again, that might get me noticed by a cop, so I probably wouldn't do it, but the urge would have been there.
Yeah, and considering at that point in time, the psychopath that I was with was the daughter of a cop who was running for county sheriff. Kind of a bad idea to have the cops, take a particular notice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really don't want them to know you exist.
Although, fun fact, when we broke up, he actually asked my parents if they would be willing to switch children. He told me if I ever tried to date his daughter again, he would hit me in the head with a brick because I deserved much better.
I agree with his reasoning. The methodology might leave it something to be desired, but...
And my favorite thing, and I guess to this day he still calls her this, So she was going to be a bridesmaid in a friend's. So after we broke up, we were still friends, and I was still friends with the family. As actually really good friends with her dad afterwards, which again feels really strange that you break up with the cop's daughter and you're still friends with the cop. But they invite me over for lasagna because they know I love lasagna. Lasagna is my favorite dish, so he he would purposely make lasagna just for me to come over. So we're sitting there eating lasagna, and she's complaining about the bridesmaids' dresses because they're purple. And um, she's like, I'm going to look like Barney the purple fucking dinosaur. I'm like, oh, come on. Michelle, this is not going to happen. Barney is much smaller. So to this day, Dan calls Michelle Barney's bigger sister.
Oh, you sound like a bunch of guys I used to date. My parents were awesome. I often double dated with my parents. I would break up with the guy and they'd still see my parents. Until the day she died, Carl was always asking to switch mothers. Even started offering me money, and I'm like, no, you're stuck, boy.
Mm.
So because of the age gap between me and the psychopath, which was about 8 years, she was 18, 19 at the time, and I was in my mid to late 20s. At first, they're like, no. And then I end up, while I'm talking to her on the phone, I teach her mother how to put a movie on repeat on DVD. Because there were movies that she would just like, she would just watch over and over and over and over again. So as punishment, I was forced to come over and watch that movie over and over and over again.
No
And they
good
decided
deed
they
goes
liked me.
unpunished.
Yeah. And they decided they liked me. So that was fun.
Well, lady and gentlemen, it has been 3 hours. We actually still have 2 people watching us, but I'm gonna have to call it a night here. Tell the bedtime story, and then as soon as I upload, well, not upload, but as soon as I put this on my playlist, I'm going to have to make a post that says, none of us fell asleep. We actually did go for 3 hours, and probably would go for another couple,
Probably.
but hey, um, we're going to have to do this in person, all of us. And I don't know when it will happen, but I know it must happen eventually. It's
If there is fairness in
it's
the
going to be
universe.
dynamite.
Well, if Rich would come down to Dalton to
Hey,
Hallowcon,
hey, hey.
we're gonna have a live green room there.
I don't know if I could be able to afford it this year with the
Understood.
move and everything.
Hmm.
But I would really like to try to make the Hallowcon one of these years.
That is one of the more affordable conventions. The
Yeah.
hotel is cheap. The memberships are really affordable, and you don't have to worry about leaving the hotel for food because Joe Dog puts on some of the best meals you have ever had in your life. Megan is an amazing cook. She gets out there on Grillzilla, and it's like,
But
stand back, the mistress is at work. You know?
be prepared for a late supper, which I
Hmm.
was not last year.
That's true. That's true. If you have low blood sugar, you might want to snack a bit during the day. Uh,
I'm going to be prepared this year.
and do plan to stay for the Sunday night dead dog party after the convention.
We are this year. We're not leaving till Monday.
Yeah, I have made a habit of not leaving a convention until Monday when it ends on a Sunday afternoon because I know what people get up to on a Sunday night and I'm not going to miss out. Um,
And there's a Waffle House just down the street.
you could walk there if you
Not in
were
that traffic.
if you were incautious enough to try and cross that road. Yeah, um, but
Peanut butter waffles.
Is that
They
35
put,
for both days?
yeah,
yeah, that's the whole weekend.
yeah, and as I said, everything except breakfast included, and the hotel does uh
A continental sort of thing.
yeah, coffee and danishes. I mean, it is.
And if Pike is there, there's going to be cereal. He supplies the cereal and milk. Hey, he's good for some things.
I'm still doing research. Um, no,
uh,
it is actually worth your money to wake up early enough to go to the best one I found uh, was a it wasn't a McDonald's, it was a Burger King, I do believe. Really good biscuits and hash browns. Or you could go to the Waffle House and have a full sit-down breakfast. But you
gotta
need
have my,
something.
yeah.
You need something to start off the day with.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if it's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And what I'm in the habit of doing, I check in the hotel on Thursday afternoon, help out the setup of whatever Joe Dog has got going on for setting the convention up. So I got roped into helping string lights all around the con suite, which was basically an auditorium, and don't check out until Monday morning. There will be a teeny tiny party on the Thursday night because enough people show up on Thursdays
Mm-hmm.
to make it worthwhile. Friday, the convention starts about 3 in the afternoon, so you've got all day to get geared up for that. The convention ends about 3 in the afternoon on Sunday. Then you've got to basically, once most folks that decide to check out on Sunday, once they leave, then shit gets real. We were sitting around on Sunday,
It's only a 9 hour
me,
drive.
me and Chris and Joe Dog and John, I do believe, and we had a bottle of Statesman bourbon. We had Joe's
Last bottle of moonshine.
last bottle of moonshine. There was still loads of stuff that we were packing up for the bar, and at one point during Sunday night, Chris actually got Joe Dog into his room. I'm going, how did you do that without a wheelbarrow? Chris is going, talent. And I'm going, wheelbarrow's easier. Um,
No, that won't
it,
be this year.
oh, yeah, and it wound up being me and Chris finishing off a couple of bottles. And Joe Dog comes barreling back in and then put him to bed again. And Chris and I are going, we ain't taking bets. No, nope.
I don't remember what the regular rooms are, but Carl saw on the thing that they have spa rooms and they're only $99 a night. And he said, "Give us a spa room. We can have a party in the room." I'm like, okay, but that's $99 for a larger room is wonderful. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's a great price. Nice rooms. They've taken all no rugs in the rooms. They're
Oh, they have
hardwood.
totally redecorated most of the hotel since last year.
Towel damage fee?
Towel damage fee?
They've got a towel damage fee. Due to towels being ruined by makeup and lipstick over the past years, they've instituted a damaged towel fee if your costume comes with if you costume with makeup, plan to bring a makeup remover and or your own towels. Damaged towel fee is $25 per towel and will be charged to your card.
I can understand that because that can be hard to get out of.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. Um, and it's not just makeup. It is also hair dye and lots of other things that can be difficult to get out of a blank white towel.
Hmm.
Um, the rooms are, I wouldn't say they're tiny. They're comfortable. They're not
They're
huge.
nice. They're nice
I
sized.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I loved it. And I will be taking my wife this year. So, um, and she used to be head housekeeping in a hotel out in near Albuquerque. So she has high standards. But the place was, oh, they you had to run them off from cleaning your room. I mean, you
Hmm.
really had to tell them, please don't clean my room today. Um, Basically, because I slept in the damn chair, didn't even fold the covers down on the bed, and there wasn't much reason for them to come in. I can empty my own ashtray, thank you. Um,
Hmm.
Other than that, and the staff is absolutely wonderful. The hotel staff, the convention staff. I got to tell you,
Really, really nice place.
they will bend over backwards to make sure that everything's going right for you. Now, you do have to plan to experience all four seasons in one weekend.
I live in Northwest Indiana. Yeah,
Well, you've got to plan for at least one day of 90 to 100-degree temperatures, followed by an evening of sub-zero and rain, and then the next day it's going to be springtime, and then the last day it's going to be we're going to roll the dice. It's Tennessee. Screw it.
that's all shorts weather for me.
Mm,
Even the sub-zero.
yeah. Oh, but it is fun. It is absolutely a hoot. And
I'll have to talk to
um,
Misty to see if we can swing the budget.
if you
Well,
can't do it this year, then plan for it next year.
next year.
Well, if we can't swing the budget in time for this year, I can definitely squirrel away because price is that low. I mean, I could definitely squirrel away from my end of the year discretionary bonus.
Yeah.
The big expense for y'all is driving the distance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
it's
only a
eight
9 hour
hours from
drive.
Danville. Yeah.
Yeah, 8 hours and 48 minutes according to Google Maps when I looked at it just now.
It's about 3 hours for me.
And it's not a bad drive, really.
Yeah, I found a route that doesn't include Atlanta. That's why
That
it's three
was
hours instead of hour and a half.
that was the easiest part of the drive is getting to about where that is when I was going down to my in laws.
Hmm.
Um, my only problem is I took off right after I got out of work, and Misty was freaking out trying to pack the previous day. So Oh dear Lord, it was just, I had no sleep. So my drive down was 5 Monster energy drinks and 3 5-hour energies.
The worst part's
All
probably
sugar free.
going through Nashville, but that's gotten much easier since Google.
Mm.
I did not notice it was a problem, but then again, by the time I was going through Nashville, it was like 11 o'clock midnight.
Mm. Going through Nashville, going south's not too bad. It's coming north because on the road that goes around, almost all of your slips are to the right, except the one you need to go to Indiana. Then it goes off to the left. It's the only one. And before Google Maps, I was Google Maps before Google Maps, because when we were driving down to Florida, we go down through Alabama, and I make a notation. Such and such off ramp has this food, has this gas, you know. And I had this cigar shop, this bookstore, the important stuff, you know.
Yeah, really.
But yeah, when we went down to Florida last time, I dug up my old map to see how much had changed. I'm like, damn, I was good in those days, because I had pretty much down what they had.
And if you're
Including-
lucky, the good stuff didn't change.
Exactly.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Before we go for a 4th hour, I'm going to say I love you both and thank you for being here. And it has been an awesome time. And I do hope my wife wakes up in time to go to church. Otherwise, she's going to go, why didn't you come to bed till 5 a.m.? And I'm going to go, stupid o'clock, last man standing. You know, I talk, okay? Sue me. No, don't.
Then you get 2 other talkers on the show.
Well, I can't afford lawyers for 2 people.
We'll see y'all tonight at Cryptid Crunch.
Yes, thank you for letting me know there was going to be one. And let's hope we wake up in time. Like sleep is going to happen. Good night.
Night, guys.
Bless you. And now I've got to click on this thing so I can get to the outro.
Bye-bye.
Bedtime story.
Transmission overload.
System will shut down. System will shut down.
Transmission overload.
System will shut down. System will shut down. System will shut down.